168, right? And he has no belt. He has no title. He has nothing but, I should be this guy one day again, you know, the hope. You know what I'm saying? But it ain't like I don't get the duck situation. People just not being smart, but you know, that's part of the game. I campaigned at 60, bro. Well, you out. But the pressure on me to move up to fight this clown. I'll take the Andrade fight before that.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So y'all just heard it, two-division undefeated world champion, currently the WBC reigning middleweight world champion, superstar boxer JERMALL Lions Only Charlo. He addresses the possibility of him fighting undefeated two-time super middleweight world champion Mexican superstar boxer David Benavidez. He says David Benavidez looks absolutely terrible in his last fight. He says he just wanted to make that clear. He says that he fights he campaigns at 160. He hears the pressure for him to move up to 168 and fight David Benavidez. But David Benavidez ultimately doesn't bring anything to the table. He has nothing to offer. This is in the beginning of the interview. And as we all know, towards the end of the interview, you can hear JERMALL CHARLO. He changed his tune and he says, make the fight happen. He was asked by Brian Custer. Shout out to Brian Custer. Brian Custer asked him, will you see yourself fighting David Benavidez in the near future? He said, absolutely, make the fight happen. I'll go up to 168 and knock him out. So there's a little bit of confusion there. At one point, he says he's staying at 160. He'll fight Demetrius Andrade, undefeated two-division world champion, who currently is the WBO middleweight reigning world champion superstar boxer. He says he'll fight Demetrius Andrade before he fights David Benavidez. And then he was asked about the possibility of fighting Canelo Alvarez. JERMALL CHARLO, 31 wins, no losses, 22 wins by way of knockout. He's 30 years of age, stands at 6 feet tall with a 73.5-inch arm reach. Last time we saw him in the ring was September 26th when he took on and defeated Sergey Derevyanchenko and won a unanimous decision victory over Sergey Derevyanchenko. With that, JERMALL CHARLO, he even addressed Canelo Alvarez, and he stated that he's tired of chasing Canelo Alvarez. He's not going to chase Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez is campaigning at 168, 175. He's not trying to come back down to 160. He says, so now it's about him building his legacy. He wants to fight two-time middleweight world champion, who currently is the IBF reigning middleweight world champion superstar boxer, Gennady Triple G Golovkin. And he says he even would consider fighting Demetrius Andrade at some point in time. Now, we know Marat, he has the WBA title. With that said, let's listen to what he had to say about facing Canelo Alvarez.
So that's not like a fight that I'm thinking that's going to happen. So I might as well, let alone he don't fight at 160 anymore. So am I supposed to keep chasing him? Hey, bro, come back down to 160. He ain't fighting. He can be fighting at 75 and 68. Dude ain't trying to cut no weight no more.
So then he goes on to say, I'm focusing on my legacy, my career. I want to get the fight with Gennady Triple G Golovkin. He says, everybody's talking about me and David Benavidez. Nobody's talking about me and Gennady Golovkin. He's still top 10. He says Gennady Golovkin is still in the top 10. You know, he says Gennady Golovkin, if everybody want to see him tested, everybody should look to see him tested against Gennady Triple G Golovkin. Why not see him tested against Golovkin? That's a fight people should be calling for instead of everybody pointing to David Benavidez. Brian Custer, shout out to Brian Custer again. Brian Custer let it be known, well, you called out David Benavidez and you said you would knock him out, and David Benavidez responded. And then Brian Custer played the interview with him and David Benavidez. He said, you said you would go to 168 and knock him out. And he says, yeah, you know, make the fight happen. So We know it's one point he's saying that he's not willing to fight him. He's 160-pound fighter. And the next minute he said making the fight happen. Gennady Triple G Golovkin is 41 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, 36 wins by way of knockout. He's 38 years of age, stands at 5'10" and a half, 70-inch arm reach. Last time we saw him in the ring was December 18th, 2020, when he took on Zermada, his mandatory, and got a stoppage victory over him. Prior to that, he was in the ring October of 2019 against Sergey Derevyanchenko, common opponent of JERMALL CHARLO, and he looked absolutely horrible in that fight. I thought personally Sergey Derevyanchenko should have gotten a nod. Instead, Gennady Triple G Golovkin got a unanimous decision. With that said, everybody's calling to see, David Benavidez and JERMALL CHARLO. David Benavidez, JERMALL CHARLO, he stated that he's a kid. He is, 24 years of age, but he's undefeated, 24-0, 21 wins by way of knockout, stands at 6 feet and a half, 6'2" with a 77-inch arm reach. Last time we saw him in the ring was against Ronald Ellis a few weeks ago. He got a stoppage victory in the 11th round. It wasn't his best performance, but he got the victory. And so JERMALL pointed that out. With that said, JERMALL even went into detail about the situation between himself, why he hasn't stepped in the ring with Demetrius Andrade. He stated that because Demetrius Andrade, he didn't do good business when it came to Demetrius Andrade and his twin brother, identical twin brother, 2-time junior middleweight world champion superstar boxer who's unified, JERMALL CHARLO. They were supposed to fight, Andrade and JERMALL CHARLO, and Andrade pulled out the fight a week before the fight. So JERMALL CHARLO was not happy. He says that our team wasn't happy. JERMALL lost money. He had to find a replacement opponent. And so they stayed clear of Demetrius Andrade. And he stated that Demetrius Andrade was ringside when he fought and knocked out Julian J. Rob Williams. So he said that, that made him hesitant to agree to fight us. So with that said, but in the same token, he said he'll fight Demetrius Andrade before he fights David Benavidez, right? So it's a little confusing when you listen to the interview, because at one point he's saying he'll fight Demetrius Andrade before he fights David Benavidez, and then he's saying, he's not interested in fighting Demetrius Andrade. Seems like to me he has his sights set on, fighting Gennady Triple G Golovkin, and ironically, Triple G had his sights set on Jaime Munguia. With that said, Jaime Munguia seems to be going in a different direction. So that would make Gennady Triple G Golovkin available again, okay? Maybe he could land the Triple G fight. I seriously doubt it, because Triple G, shows no interest in fighting JERMALL CHARLO. Makes no mention of his name, has no interest in fighting Demetrius Andrade. He just, at this point in time, he just wants to secure a trilogy match with 4-division world champion Mexican superstar boxer Saul Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez campaigns at 168, and like JERMALL CHARLO say, he dips and dabs in 175. He's looking to become undisputed at 168. He has his fight schedule already mapped out. He's going to fight Billy Joe Saunders, 2-division undefeated WBO super middleweight world champion superstar British boxer. That's going to take place May 8th. And then in September, he's looking to secure a showdown with undefeated IBF super middleweight world champion superstar boxer Caleb Sweethand Plant. That's in September. Should he beat Billy Joe Saunders in May? In September, the fight between himself and Caleb Plant would be for undisputed at that point in time. So with that said, he's looking to secure that fight and build upon his legacy there moving forward. So I don't understand. I don't know what the plans are for JERMALL CHARLO. Demetrius Andrade makes sense. Demetrius Andrade has a fight coming up pretty soon. If he's successful, that makes sense. It's a unification bout. Obviously, Gennady Triple G Golovkin, that makes sense. Unification bout. But he's showing no interest, and there's no push for Gennady Golovkin to face JERMALL CHARLO. I truly hope and wish that fight would come to fruition, but it doesn't seem like the powers that be are going to push Gennady Golovkin in that direction. And so with that, he's just looking to stick around and secure Canelo Alvarez fight. And Canelo Alvarez, He made it abundantly clear he has no interest in fighting Triple G for a third time. They fought the first time, ended a draw. Second fight ended in Canelo Alvarez getting the nod, the victory, and both very, very close fights. But Canelo Alvarez says that chapter of his career is closed. Okay, Murata, nobody knows what he's doing. I have no clue what's his plans. He's the WBA champion. That fight would make sense. It's a unification bout, but nobody knows what Murata's plans are. Is he willing to give Ryota Murata? Is he willing to give JERMALL CHARLO the opportunity? Okay, he's 16 wins, 2 losses, 13 wins by way of knockout. Stands 6 feet tall with a 75-inch arm reach. Last time we saw him in the ring was December of 2019 when he defeated Stephen Butler via TKO victory. Outside of that, he's the WBA champion, and there's no real plan for Ryota Murata. With that said, he's 35 years of age. He's currently the WBA, middleweight world champion. He's held it since January of 2020. It says he's held the belt since January 2021. But it's not the case. We're in 2021. Okay. So with that said, he's just not, very active, and there's no plans for him in the near future. Who knows? They said it's a possibility he could face Chris Eubanks Jr., but there's no real direction for Murata. So if he can't, secure a fight, that being JERMALL CHARLO with, Gennady Triple G Golovkin, well, the best option may be for him to go ahead and fight, Demetrius Andrade. Make that fight happen. If you're going to stick around 160, well, the best fights are you and Demetrius Andrade, Gennady Golovkin, and Murat for the unification bout. Other than that, there's not many big fights at 160. So if you're going to stick around at 160, try to push for the Andrade fight, and then push for the Gennady Golovkin fight, or push publicly for the Gennady Golovkin fight and see if he responds, and if he takes the bait and he concedes and give you the opportunity. Let's see how it unfolds and plays out. But there's not really a direction for JERMALL at this point in time. The big fights for him would be mega fights would be at 168, and then he said that why fight David Benavidez and he don't have a belt? Well, because you're not going to secure the Caleb Plant fight, and you already said you're done with the Canelo fight. So now he's saying he has no interest in continuing to pursue Canelo Alvarez either. So make sure y'all hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.